I don't think most people go in knowing they're explicitly anything, but it's there deep down whether they deal with it or not.
You can kind of tell that they have a bias towards one thing. It's just, you know, a slip of a word.
If a nurse says, stand in the corner for this entire patient encounter and don't speak, what do you say in that moment?
What do you do when you're faced with that difficult conversation? You hear bias happening. You know, what do you do?
A spotlight has been placed on ways that we discriminate and disadvantage people in our population. It's not outside the curriculum. This is at the core of the curriculum.
Our nursing students have been asking for this. They've been asking for instruction and guidance on how do you handle difficult situations. This is critical for nurses to do it while you're learning. It's foundational. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of how you think, your mindset. How do we equip them now in a student role so that when they are nurses, they'll know how to respond in the profession?
I spend a lot of time talking about race, racism, and privilege in every class I teach. Nurses have, as part of their code of ethics, an obligation to advocate for the elimination of racial injustice and racism. And so I teach students about this, and I talk about privilege. I talk about the privilege that my white skin conveys anytime I walk into a room.
I've seen, I guess, racism in healthcare before with my own family, and it's not pretty. People don't like to think that they can be the one perpetuating these things, but they can.
That's why this is work that people like me have to do, right? Because honestly, I don't have 250 years of exhaustion sitting on my shoulders like some of our students do.
A lot of the things that we've talked about in these groups are being able to step back, reflect on how you're feeling in that moment, and then be able to make the change going forward.
I came up with the idea of the new nursing pledge that's going to be hopefully plastered on a banner on the top of the website. That was birthed from those groups too, which I'm really excited for.
I think one of the reasons why we've had so much enthusiasm, energy, eagerness for what we're doing this summer is because we do have a population of students that more and more and more really do reflect that population around us, that community we're going to serve. And so suddenly there's some power in voices.
And I like to tell people it's like they're afraid to uncover things about themselves that may come off as offensive or problematic. And I say knowing those things is a lot better than pretending like they're not there. So it's okay to go digging and find some things about yourself that may be uncomfortable, you don't want to be vulnerable about, but taking that step is really big and being the best nurse you can be. So
if we never educate or take the time to step up and say something, we as a community, as a culture, as a society would still be doing things that was happening in the 1960s, 1930s, even beyond that.
It makes me realize that I should be standing up for people more than I have been. That it's not okay right now to be sitting on the sidelines and just cheering them on. You have to be playing the sport. You have to be playing the game with them.